So, once again, the correct graph is, I should have done that. Y equals 3x minus 2. I begin at -2 and I go up 3 over 1 each step of the way. Remember, if there's no denominator, it's always over 1. There were 3 or 4 people in the class on the quiz who, if it said 3 in the top, they moved 3 in the bottom. No. If there's no denominator written, the denominator is always 1. Are we clear about that?
Yes.
What is the denominator if there's no denominator written? 1. Very good. Okay. Any questions about this? Okay. You'll notice that today's sheet is labeled or numbered 6A, which means the first year that I did these lesson plans, I felt that after lesson 6, the kids were pretty clueless. So I needed a second day that does almost the same thing so that I could really reinforce the point. Now, there were some people who on today's quiz, for the first side or the first page of the quiz, they wrote, for instance, I believe Ethan did this. Maybe Jason did this. They wrote, and Anthony, I think they wrote like 3 over 2 for the first one, and whatever, 1 over 1 for the second one. That's the answer to the question, what is the slope? Your slopes were correct. But that's not what the question said. The question said, what's the equation of a line? When the question says, what's the equation of a line, Rach, you have to make sure you're including the y-intercept and the slope and the y equals and so on and so forth in the answer, not just what the slope is. This is a little different. This one says to write the equation of each of the lines graphed below. So let's do it. You guys write the equation of both of those lines on your paper. Go right ahead. Find the y-intercept, find the slope, and put it in y equals mx plus b form. Anthony, head the game. Let's go. Pay attention. Okay, so we look at this first line that I put the green dot on the end of. Somebody tell me the slope of that line. Diana, what's the slope? Okay, good. 2 over 2 works. Up 2 over 2. 2 over 2, however, reduces to 1 over 1. But if you put 2 over 2, you would be fully right. Now I need to know the y-intercept. Where does that line cross or get caught by the y-axis? Chris? 1 is correct. There's 0 right here, so 1 is correct. So the equation of the line, remember the general equation is y equals mx plus b. I'm putting in a 1 for m and I'm putting in a 1 for b, and I get y equals 1 over 1, or just 1, or you could write nothing at all, plus 1. Okay? Now let's do the next one. Let's stop. Let's get the next one done here. What is the equation of the second line, if you will, boom, the red dot on the end of it?
Y equals 1 over 1 x minus 2.
Y equals 1 over 1 x minus 2. Excellent. So those are the two equations of the lines. And by the way, we could go backwards. On this line, I would have touched at -2, which is here, and then up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, and there's my graph. What do you notice about the slopes of the two lines?
They're equal to each other.
They're equal to each other. And then what do you notice about the two lines when you just look at them?
They're parallel.
They're parallel. So what we conclude is this. Parallel lines have equal slopes. And that's the big conclusion for today. It was the big conclusion yesterday. It is also the big conclusion for today. Parallel lines have equal slopes. Okay? Any question about that, guys? All right. So now I give you these two lines. Y equals negative x minus 4 and y equals negative x plus 2. Are those lines parallel? Yes or no? Don't yell it out. Just take a look at it. After you look at it, you should be able to tell. Thomas, you're not doing what we're supposed to be doing here. Okay, how many people say yes, they're parallel? How many people say no, not parallel? Let's do this again. You must vote. You have no option but to vote. How many people say yes, the lines are parallel? How many people say, no way, sucker? They're definitely parallel. How come they're parallel? Anthony, what's the slope of this first line right here? Come on, Be with me here, we've been pounding this stuff. Ethan, what's the slope of the first line? Negative one. What's the negative in front? What's the slope of the second line? Caitlin? No, negative one. When the two slopes are the same, what do you know about the lines? They're parallel. Good, okay. Next, what about the lines y equals 2x plus 7 and y equals negative 2x plus 3? Are those lines parallel? Selena, yes or no? What word is associated with this? No. Good. What's the slope of the first one, Selena? No. What's the slope here? Slope is always the number in front of the x. What's the slope? Yes. Yes, say the word. She speaks to me in code. 2 it is. What's the slope of the second line? What do we got there, Christian?
-2.
-2. Those are not the same slope. They're close, but they are not the same. There you go. Nice. All right. So they're close, but they're not exactly there. Okay, so now, the next thing that we're going to do is as follows. There are 4 lines on your paper here. Ready? Now, these are not the correct equations. On your paper, they look different. Turn to the next page. Okay, the problem is, and this is why I don't like when the documents come up in Word only, this was written in a later version of Word than this. So this does not recognize the later version of Word, so it all looks jumbled up here. But what you have here is excellent. So now, what I want you to do is work together in groups. For each of those 4 lines, I want you to write what the slope is and what the y-intercept is, and then graph all 4 of those lines on the graph paper. Got it? Get to it. Go. Yes.
I finished that while we were doing this joke.
Nice. Now work with people. Right? Help Jerry, help Carmen.
I already finished.
Well, then compare your answers to Angela's and see if they're right.
I have to do these. I have to do these.
Oh, here, I'm doing it. Do we have to graph this?
So Kyle, work. You can move your seat if you want to work with somebody you're friends with.
There's no room anymore.
I'm
just kidding. You get this.
Very graceful.
Wow, I wanted to go back there. Can I go back there?
If you're working with somebody and learning and doing things, if you're going back there because they're your buds and you want to socialize, no.
I'll help them.
How are you?